Hey everyone, welcome to another session of Conversations with Courageous Cancer Warriors. And today's guest is such a powerhouse, and she just happens to share my name and spells it right. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Lori Baker Schena. She is a founder of Baker Schena Communications, a leadership coach, a professional speaker who works with individuals, academic institutions, entrepreneurs. Hello, where are my entrepreneurs out there? Small businesses and large corporations to strengthen their management and team building skills. And honestly, her goal is to have her clients achieve the highest level of excellence, productivity, profitability by reclaiming back their passion and expertise in their industry. She also has 35 years of healthcare public relations and as a marketing consultant. So when I tell you that she has a lot of golden nuggets to be able to share with us today, and I didn't even mention the fact that she's a fellow cancer warrior, this conversation is going to be amazing. So Lori, thank you so much for being here.
It is so much my pleasure. I want to say hi to your audience out there, all the cancer warriors out there. We share such a special bond, and it's so wonderful to be a part of the tribe, because we are a part of a very special, unique, and wonderful tribe.
Definitely. Like, we don't want anybody to belong to this tribe, right? We don't want you to get the initiation to get in here, but once you're here, we absolutely love to have everyone around us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, and maybe we could start with your cancer journey.
I would love to talk to you about my cancer journey. I'm a motivational speaker, Lori, and so I've really started to weave my story into my professional speaking engagements, and I find that people really relate to it. But really, my cancer journey started, and I've been a cancer warrior since I was 12, because my mother died of cancer when she was 49 back in 1970, and I was only 12. And to me, it was ovarian cancer. And to me, I became a cancer warrior then, because not only are we cancer survivors warriors, but our family and our friends and the people who are left behind when there's a death, we all are cancer warriors, right?
Definitely.
So anyway, long story short, my mom died of cancer when she was 49. My sister died of breast cancer when she was 54, and my brother died of liver cancer when he was 56.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so the fact that I got cancer didn't really come as a big surprise. I mean, I hoped it wouldn't happen, but many of you out of your audience out there who have genetic, connections will see that. So my journey was so odd because it came out of the blue, and for all of us, it came out of the blue. When you have all of a sudden you find a lump, when you have breast cancer, or something feels weird, you have a cervical cancer and you have a test. But for me, I had gone into the hospital with really bad vomiting, and it came out of the blue. And it happened 6 months earlier. I was 55 years old. I was a professor of journalism marketing at California State University, Northridge. And I'm living this, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a professor, and I had gotten sick and gone to the hospital 6 months earlier for vomiting and not really feeling well, and they didn't find anything. So back in April of 2013, I go back to the hospital and I am sicker than a dog, because usually when you vomit, you feel better.
Yeah.
I really felt I was dying. I just felt like I was dying. So I drove myself to the hospital because I didn't want to disturb members of the family, because I thought they'd send me right back. They did a contrast CT, and they found a blockage in my small bowel.
Yeah.
So, blockage, that could be scarring, it could be anything. Nobody thought cancer. And small bowel, a tumor in the small bowel is not normally anything. So anyway, so I had emergency surgery the next night, and I just went in thinking, okay, I'll take the blockage out, I'll go home. So it was late Sunday night. The next morning at 5:00 in the morning, the doctor comes into my room. There was no one else in the room with me. And he says, Lori, I have to tell you something. You've got cancer. And I was like, what? And he says, the tumor we found was about 3 inches wide, and it was cancerous. And it's like, oh. And so they didn't know what kind of cancer it was because it needed a pathology report, which I know you know about.
Hey.
And so it would take 2 days to figure out if it was an adenocarcinoma, which was something that you could die with in 3 weeks, or something that is treatable and you could live a longer time.
Please say you had a GIST tumor. Please tell
So,
me.
so anyway, well, here I am 7 years later, which is great. So
Yeah.
for those 2 days, that's when I really, really learned how to be positive, because I realized that there's nothing I can do about this.
Right.
If I have 3 weeks to live, I'm going to make it the best 3 weeks of my life. I'm going to call the people I love. I'm going to call the people I needed to speak with that one last time to give them, what. I was going to really make that 3 glorious weeks as opposed to being a victim, because I decided to pivot to the positive.
I love that.
But long story short, the doctor comes in 2 days later, totally freaked out. And he says, Laura, you've got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, extranodal.
Yeah.
And I just celebrated, because I knew from my medical background that that's treatable.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the hospital for about 4 more days. And then when they discharged me, I made an appointment with one of the biggest cancer hospitals in the Southern California area, City of Hope. I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah. Great
And
hospital.
they're a great hospital. And I started my journey, and I'm still here today. And this is kind of a cancer that will come back. And my doctor says it'll come back, but that is not how I live my life. So that's my cancer journey. And from there, and personally, I decided, you know what, I need to spread my message of joy and positivity to the world. And so I left my tenured job as a university professor and took the leap to become a motivational speaker and a corporate trainer to help people be better leaders, because I had a doctorate in organizational leadership, and I really wanted people to learn how to lead and be empowered, especially women. And so I took the big plunge in 2014, and I have not looked back. And so I'm still going strong. I'm still wake up every morning with joy. And I had a couple of big operations this past year to clean up some scarring and all that. But you know what? Here I am. I'm talking to you. Life's beautiful, and it's great. And that's my journey.
It's always one of those things that you're like, I'm so sorry that you went through that. And at the same time, I'm like, I'm just so blessed that one, you're here with us today. Like, it's amazing. And two, that the journey, this path has brought you down and created an experience for you that is so empowering. Like, you exemplify, we have a saying here, it's live courageously, right? Like, that's what we aim to do. And you exemplify that. Like, you're the epitome of it, for the fact that you knew, leaving a career after 10 years is a really difficult thing to do. I know, I've done it, right? Like, I've walked away from being a PA, and I still have my feet in there a little bit, because it's that fear of, okay, maybe one day I'll want to go back, because you work so hard to get to where you are. And the fact that you have taken something that could, with the history that you have with your mom, your siblings, all the devastation that you've had in your personal life with losing people that you love, and then then getting diagnosed yourself, and you are sitting here as positive as they come. So how do you maintain that every day? Because I find it's inspiring to me. It's amazing.
Well, it's interesting, because the secret.
Did I lose you?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. That's always fun. I love technology. One of the secrets is to be flexible, right? Okay. Well, I think I got to tell you, one of the secrets is to make the conscious choice to find joy every day.
Yes.
And that is the secret. We wake up every morning with that choice. We can choose to be miserable, or we can choose to be happy. And I have to tell you something, cancer survivors like you and I and your audience, just waking up every morning is the win.
It's the blessing.
It's the win. It's the win. I always do this. It's the, the W on my head. It's the win.
Yeah.
So everything else, no matter what happens in the world, all right, I'll figure out how to deal with it, which is what I call the solution shift, but it's a question of being courageous. Everybody, I don't know what happened to you when you got cancer, but a lot of people annoyed the heck out of me how people react to, which is a whole nother topic.
We could
But
talk for hours on that one.
I'm telling you, but someone said to somebody, Lori, you're such a good person. How could this happen to you? And that whole thing we do, why me? I never, ever, ever asked why me. Why not me? Look at my history. Look at nature. Look at the environment. Look at the stress we're under. Of course, this might happen to you. But okay, so that's something we can't control. So the first thing I do is choose joy every single morning. Lori, I got COVID in December, and I just read it. I'm in Los Angeles. I just read a thing right before this talk that 1 in 3 people as of January in LA County have COVID. It's like crazy out here.
Wow.
But again, so I got the diagnosis and I did not get victimized. Okay, what do I need to do to stay healthy on top of it? And so that I know when to go to the hospital, when not to go to the hospital. My husband got it. He was a little sicker than I was, but I never got down. I just said, every morning I'm awake, I'm alert. We know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but choosing that conscious decision to choose joy, no matter what crap is thrown at you, is the secret to being happy every single day. And I have to tell you, this is authentic. I am happy every single day. Nothing. I mean, there's a lot of things that bother me and annoy me. I mean, look at the state of the world. But my personal happiness, I have a barrier, a positivity barrier around me. Nobody gets through that. And it's all up to you to do that. It's up to you to do that.
I love that. I start my day every morning by turning to my hunk next to me and saying, baby, we made it through the night. We're going to live another day and let's make it great. And we start our day every morning that way. And it's really has been transformational to just set the intention for the day. And it's like, no, like it's going to be great. No matter what happens, we're going to make it great. And that's what I hear from you.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you're doing it too. You have to choose positivity. You have to be mindful of the fact that you have to be positive, no matter how tough. I just had a friend. I have so many friends who've gone through cancer, but I had this older woman who had a horrific bout of lung cancer, and she had to do horrific chemo. But every day she woke up and said, "You know what? I'm going to make it through, and I'm going to survive. I'm going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this because I'm going to win. I am a warrior and I'm going to win."
Yes.
And, that whole, not, it helps you. It helps get you through whatever you have to get through.
Yeah.
And it really works. It empowers you. It really shifts you from victim to empowered. It takes you from the dark to the light. It's really important.
And so I would love to hear a little bit more about the work that you do as a motivational speaker, in business, like some of your experiences and maybe like your take home message from, being with people and recognizing that there's always a common denominator with folks.
Absolutely. It's interesting. It's interesting how I bring my cancer talk into my professional talk. It wasn't always like that. I talk about team building skills. I talk about, conflict management. But lately, the last couple of years, I brought in the lessons we learned from cancer. And so I have what I call the solution shift. And it's moving from living in a problem life to living in a solution life. So you walk around living in this, because if you think about it for a second, when you have problems, a lot of people sit in those problems. You have friends like that. They complain and complain and complain.
Terrible.
And the problem becomes their life. People who say, okay, I have a problem, and then flip to the solution. What can I do about that? Are the people who are positive. And in those 2 hours, right after when my doctor told me I had cancer, I allowed myself to grieve for about 2 hours. I was crying, like, eh. And then I got bored. I went, all right, okay, this is it. I've always been I've had to be a positive person. I've had so much loss. What can I do to take care of myself? Get the best cancer doctors I can afford, get the people surround me. So shifting to the solution. So acknowledging the problem and shifting the solution is what I teach and what I train on in both my one-on-one coaching, my life coaching, my professional coaching, executive coaching. And if you look at it in business, business all have problems. Okay, what is the problem? How do we get to the solution? And when you put it in those
Yeah.
terms, everything becomes more positive, Lori.
Definitely. Definitely. I couldn't agree with you more. I was actually saying that yesterday, where it's you have to choose it. We all have circumstances that we're unhappy about, but are you going to let your circumstances define you, right? And it's exactly that, where you're saying, you have a choice in the moment on how you're going to react. And so many folks, especially when they're going through their journey, are just tired, right? You're just tired, you're just drained, you don't want to go for one more treatment, like you've just had enough. And so, we like to celebrate the small wins. What was something that surprised you about this whole journey of yours, and the thing that maybe you held on to keep you in that positive mode?
It's interesting. I really tapped into the thought I always knew about control,
Mm.
and really understanding what I could control and what I couldn't, and worry and working on what I could control.
Yeah.
So I had no control over that tumor growing in my stomach. I had no control over my mom dying, my sister dying, and my brother dying. I just had no control. And knowing that, I don't focus on that. So what I focus on is, what do I have control over?
Yeah.
So when you are tired and you need to go do that one more chemo, that is your choice to do that chemo. Do the chemo treatment and then take care of yourself. Praise yourself for being courageous.
Yeah.
Let yourself veg on the couch without guilt. Let yourself go through the process in a very healthy self-worth way. Give yourself that self-worth. And you have control over that, those emotions, how you treat yourself. And that's where you focus. You focus on taking care of yourself, Lori, and doing it without guilt. And that is what I learned, is the importance of really learning what you can control and what you can't.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because that's so powerful and it's so true. I'm a self-proclaimed, in recovery, people pleaser,
Mm.
right? And I know it, but it took, sometimes, they say that it takes an act of God or something really big to happen in your life for it to knock you over the head to pay attention. Well, that was it. I needed something as big as cancer to make me realize what a people pleaser I am. And the thing is that, like, here I am, I'm, a week out from a bilateral mastectomy. I'm high as a kite on all these pain meds, right? And I'm still worrying about everybody else around me.
Absolutely, especially the reactions to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're taking
Mm.
care of everybody so upset about what they're
Yeah.
upset about, nothing to do with your mastectomy,
Yeah, and I have to tell you that it was an unconscious decision that I made, knowing that, and I'm sure you have the same. You could relate to this. As a person that people go to for when they have trouble or they have a concern, or whether it's health related or not, right? I found myself not telling anyone. I had a very small circle of people that I actually informed of what I had going on. And I knew it was for survival. If it was for my own survival, because I knew innately that if I shared it around the world, I would have to deal with their emotions on it. And I didn't have the strength to do that.
Oh my God, that's so profound. That is such a great insight, Lori, because if you think about it, you're such a people pleaser that you think, I'm letting people down because I got sick. Think about how twisted that is, and I totally get it. Most of us are people pleasers, and that stems from being externally motivated and having guilt associated with not taking care of yourself. And I am a big believer on getting the guilt is the worst emotion. It is the most useless emotion.
Right.
So and so I have like a lot of steps to to really think about that, because I got to tell you, external validation holds you prisoner. When you're trying to be, when you're trying to please everybody, you're in prison. It's a prison.
Yeah.
You need to start focusing on your own core and seeing what your Lori needs, what my Lori needs.
Yeah.
And it's like exercising your core, because becoming internally focused and listening and being kind to yourself. And, all of us with the whole look, I have to tell you, I'll tell you a profound thing. My stomach is a mess. I work out, I take care of myself. I have a very good looking body. My stomach, I look about 4 or 5 months pregnant because of all the operations I've had on it.
Yeah.
And, and there's nothing I can do. The doctor says that, maybe not, think it's 4, but the doctor says there's nothing you can do because of the muscles and what's gone on with all these operations.
Yeah.
So, I could hide and say, you know what, I'm not going to go in front of audiences. I talk to in front of thousands of people because I look like my stomach, looks like that. Or I can say, you know what, this stomach is I can finally digest food. It is a symbol of what I've been through. And I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give my talk, whatever my stomach looks like. And I can't wear Spanx because of my physical condition. So it's like, I don't believe in looking at ourselves so critically, whether it's a mastectomy, whether it's a huge stomach, whatever is going on, we have to stop that as cancer warriors and start really being kind to us and thinking what we do bring to the table. Don't worry about what we don't have, but think about what we do. And at the end of the day, no one really cares about what my stomach looks like. I'm not bringing that value to, I never was a bikini model, let me tell you. That is not the value I bring.
But wait, that wasn't you that I saw on the cover the other day? What do you mean?
So you have to stop being so negative to ourselves and start really being courageous and positive towards ourselves, because we are tremendous people.
Definitely. We've already proven that we're strong, right? Like this journey proves that you can be unstoppable. You just have to choose what you're going to be unstoppable about after your treatments are done, right? And thank you for saying that, because that's a conversation that a lot of people are not willing to talk about, right? We have physical limitations. We have, our bodies don't look the same anymore, but it's really about self-love too. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. It's not just cancer. I gave a big talk at a conference, and my son's 22-year-old girlfriend was there. A year later, she is alone in a emergency room because I don't know where my son was. I think he was, had to go get there. And she was told that she had MS. Okay. Oh. So she remembered what I said about the solution shift, about, okay, you can grieve the fact that you're going to have MS. What are you going to do to make it positive and make a solution?
Right.
And that snapped her out of her worry, and it gave her courage. Yeah. So it's anything that, and now she's doing well. She got hooked up with a wonderful clinical, treatment thing, and she's doing incredibly well. Okay. But that courage to shift from the problem to the solution, all of us, teach your kids this, teach your loved ones this. That idea that you to be able to have the courage to do that is so empowering, no matter what you're looking at.
Yeah, like just because something bad happens to you doesn't mean you have to suffer. Right? Imagine if we knew that so many years ago.
I know. I hope young people are listening to this,
I really do. I hope people hear this loud and clear, because it's just so true. The amount of energy that we exhaust in the negative realm is, we could have done so much in our life, so much more in our lives, right? Like, we're successful people, but it could have, I think about that often. Like, if I would have just refocused my energies, what would that have done?
Well, it's interesting because you're doing such a service with this podcast, because when you hear about cancer survivors, they talk about all the stuff we all hear about, but that real deep work that we all as cancer survivors need to do.
Yeah.
the deep work to love ourselves, to really find the courage to stop trying to be a perfectionist and stop trying to be a people pleaser and turn that energy inward.
Yeah.
That is so important. And that it's basically a public service that you're doing. I mean, I think, because we need to hear this and no one's talking about it. Really. It's just something that, and unless you've been down our road, as you know, Lori, and your listeners out there are all shaking their heads, and my thing, when I talk to professionals, I don't want you to have cancer to have this insight. There's no reason for you to be suffering. Just
Exactly.
get it, so.
Exactly. And the other thing too is that we sometimes feel alone, right? I mean,
Yes.
and it's like, yes, we have this bond, and we can relate to each other as to what we're going through. But when other people in your life haven't experienced it or they can't handle it emotionally, which is why people say really dumb things to us, has
Yes.
nothing to
Yes.
do about you or
Yes.
them. I mean, like, right? It's just
Yes.
they just can't handle it. Um, it's a thing that really has you feel like you're on an island by yourself, because you're medical professionals that are limited, and we know this from experience. They're limited as to what they can say to us legally, right? And then you have the people in your life that don't really understand, and then you have the people that you could reach out to but you don't want to be a bother. So you kind of sit there and you're with yourself and you're like, what do I do now? All you have are your thoughts. So that's why your message of just staying positive, find the joy every day, is so, so powerful. So powerful.
Absolutely. It's interesting, Lori, when I got COVID last month, I lost my taste and smell, which is traumatic
Yeah.
and so I joined a Facebook group, 19,000 people on it from all over the world. And one of their biggest concerns is that nobody cares and no one appreciates it. And the fact that they think, oh, people are dying, who cares if you lost your taste and smell? Well, it is, try doing that for, 3 weeks. It is
Yeah.
tough. It's hard. So the fact that people can't empathize is really something. I wanted to read a quote that I love about self-worth that I think everybody could really benefit from. It's just a real quick one, but I posted this and I got so much response. How cool is it that the same God who created mountains and oceans and galaxies looked at you and thought the world needed one of you too?
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
Think about your self-worth in that light. You are important. You're here for a reason. And another thing that can get you out of funks is do help others, reach out to other people, become a volunteer, get involved in support groups that share your courage with others. That always makes me feel better, is when I doing this is just, for me, it's therapeutic because it really helps me to get outside of my head and help others who I can relate to.
Definitely. And I think, I know for me that that's how I started. And a lot of people are like, are you sure you really want to share all this stuff with people? And I'm like, yeah, because it's going to help somebody. I may never see who it's going to help, but the hope is there that one person will get changed. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think it's a great idea for a podcast and so needed.
yeah, and I just appreciate that you're here and your insight, and just you're an amazing soul and you're doing great things, and we're just really honored to have you here today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. And it's so fun to meet you too.
So how can people find you?
Well, the best way to find me is on my website. I'm also on social media, but you can find that through the website. But Lori Baker Schena at gmail. Excuse me. You can also email me, sure. Lori Baker Schena at gmail.com, or you can find me on my website at loribakerschena.com. I love getting emails from people. I take the time to answer and to lend support. I think we're put on earth to do that, and people just need I understand you, I hear you. So I encourage people, but you can also reach me via email on that site. And I do life coaching. I do talks to organizations. I really, I love talking to organizations and helping people get through leadership stuff, but also finding joy every day. It's just a thing I love to do.
I love that. I love that. And keep going. Keep going.
Thank you.
A lot of people need your message. So thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much. And you take care and good luck with that. And everyone in the audience, keep going forward, keep moving forward.
You're right. Absolutely. Great words.